Hi,
Hi,
who are you?
I am Almar and I'm an addict.
What kind of addict?
Attention addict. I love attention. Any attention.
And what are we doing here?
We're making a podcast.
What is that about?
It's about the things like people's stories, how they ended up where they are, ended up doing what they're doing. And it was supposed to be about something else, but I ended up with this.
Who are those people?
These are my friends. Basically my network, because I wanted to make a show about me, but I didn't really have anything to talk about. So I ended up looking at the network. The network was interesting, so I kind of thought, okay, I can maybe make something with this.
So, do you have already a name for this podcast?
Yeah, it's called The Bunker. How the hell did we end up here?
And how is it connected to the theme?
How the hell did we end up here? So basically people's stories and how they went from A to B and then to C, and with coincidences, decisions, traumas, basically anything that moves you to the direction or the point where you are.
So, how often are you going to have this podcast?
I'm not sure, but maybe like two times a month, 3 times a month.
So, do you take yourself seriously enough? Do you have some sponsors?
Yeah, like every other professional podcast, then of course I have sponsors. I have the Oat Bar. That's the greatest thing in Karlin. Sells amazing oatmeals and skyr. Everything is handmade. And it's available from 8 to 3 during the weekdays, closed on the weekends, but you can order on Volt as well. And it's a place that you really want to go. Healthy, yet tasty.
Sounds
And
good.
then I have a company called Alfred. It's alfred.cz. It's a place where you can find jobs. You can set up a job watch. You can get notified whenever there's a cool job coming along. And it's a great solution for anyone who is either looking for a job or wants to change jobs, because you can find the right job without spending time looking for it. It's available in Czech, English, and Slovak. And check it out. Alfred.cz. So yeah, those are the guys. Today we're talking to Tonya. She's a megastar, pop star in the Czech Republic. She's everywhere. She won a lot of awards. She had her own TV show. She's been in the movies. She made albums, mega concerts, been in bands, and you name it. And this is how Tonya Graves sounds.
This is me singing my favorite Icelandic band. And way down we go, way down we go.
The strange thing about the whole thing is that what led her to be here and become what she is was a series of strange coincidences that are almost unbelievable. You can judge for yourself. Enjoy. On the bunker today I have Tonya.
Yes, hello, thank you. It's a very nice bunker, I must admit, and I have to say I'm glad I know where it is in case I might need it.
And how you? So your name is Tonya, and how is your last name?
Graves, it's it's where dead people sleep, or
And Graves.
in graves.
That's cool.
This way you never spell it wrong.
And Tonya, you're an actress. You're a singer.
Yeah.
You're a mom. Are
Yep.
you? What else?
Well, currently somewhat unemployed.
Yeah.
Because yes, I'm an actor, a singer, I'm a mom, but I don't necessarily I guess I never really think of those things as what I am. I guess I'm just me, which is kind of like a mess of a bunch of stuff. A lot of it good stuff, but there's probably some bad mixed up in there too. But right now, unemployed because of the current situation.
Yeah.
Because, but hopefully soon not unemployed. As of 2 days ago, they lifted the ban on having concerts because it was actually officially illegal to sing. So I'm a singer, and my job is banned.
That's crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So the last 2 months, it's like, I mean, it's been tricky because I've been at home with my kids, homeschooling. That is enough to put a lot of years on a parent.
Yeah. Brings you closer to the grave.
Yes, as if my name didn't bring me there close enough. But yeah, you know, it's like I had a new respect for teachers. Because when I was little, I wanted to be a teacher. That was one of like, I had a lot of things I wanted to be when I was a little girl. I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to be a gymnast like Nadia Comaneci. Yeah, even one time, and I do not remember this, but I have been quoted in my family as saying I wanted to be a nun. I do not remember this. There was no picture, so it didn't happen.
So for those of you who are new to this show, then I have an alter ego on Instagram called the Middle of Crisis Warrior, where I, amongst other, post pictures of me with nuns. These are authentic pictures taken by myself of real life nuns of flesh and bones.
Yes.
And actually, yeah, Tonya, you have sent me pictures repeatedly of nuns.
Because this always entertains me on your Instagram profile. I was like, that's so funny, and I don't think anybody else here in Prague or even in this country will get it. Or react the way that I do, because I went to Catholic school for 12 years. Apparently that's where I got this idea where I wanted to be a nun, but that was maybe early on, maybe in 2nd grade.
Yeah.
So I think by the time I was being called a heretic and kicked out of religion class in 12th grade, those aspirations
disappeared.
disappeared.
Yeah. So Tonya, you're very known here in the Czech Republic, and I've been listening. I mean, you're known primarily as a singer. I mean, I know you've done some acting in films as well, but your main career until lately has been to be a singer.
Yes.
And I've been listening to your music, and it's quite various styles, I must say. I mean, there is a little bit of blues, old school, there is funk, and there is even, I don't know what it's called, R&B or pop.
That's the thing. I don't really know. People in this country, people like to call me a blues singer or a jazz singer. Jazz singer, I think, is the favorite label that people have for me. And I think that's because I sang in jazz clubs. I'm not a jazz singer. I've never been a jazz singer. I fell in love with blues when I was like 18. I was going to a concert. I was on my way to a Grateful Dead concert in the States, and we stopped in some giant record shop, like everywhere. And when I went in, they were playing Muddy Waters, and I was like, "What is that? I want that now. Get this to me on cassette." Yes, it was the last century. We had cassettes. I think they're called MCs in Europe, you know, and I was like, that. And I immediately bought the greatest hits of Muddy Waters or something like that. And that was my introduction or that was how the day I fell in love with the blues. And ever since then, I wanted to sing blues. I mean, I always loved singers like Billie Holiday and Ella Fitzgerald, Dinah Washington. Those are like this top jazz ladies. But Billie was more of a blues singer, even though her blues is maybe different than what we know as blues today. Like, great thing about music is that it's constantly evolving. But I don't think I fit into one particular category. I sing what makes me feel good. I remember it's like maybe 4 years now, when I think Iron Maiden was here, and I had a friend from the States visiting with his fiance, and we knew each other from university because I'm a little sister in a fraternity. Those don't exist anymore. They've been outlawed. But it's like an auxiliary of a fraternity. And this guy is totally heavy metal guy. And he happened to be here because another brother in the fraternity had gotten married in Poland. He heard the next week that Iron Maiden would be in Prague, and he's like, "We're going." And I hadn't seen this guy in 25 years. And we went and we threw our horns all night. The next week, my neck was like, oh, from like, and it was the best show, you know, great experience. So it's like, I'll sing that too. If I like it, I sing it. I don't, that's probably the thing about me. I don't really fit well in categories. I just...
Yeah, that was my impression actually after kind of taking a tour over YouTube and looking at different videos. I was like, okay, you can't really pinpoint this at one place, you know?
You can't. And then at one time I thought that's a bad thing, but I'm starting to come to terms with it that no, it's not a bad thing. It's just who I am. And if I'm not able to put myself into words and particularly explain myself in some beautiful, nice, with the ribbon on the box kind of thing, well, that's just because I'm not a nice ribbon in the box kind of person. I am me. I mean, even when I made my first solo album, it's called I'm the Only Me.
Yep.
And the Czechs tried to translate it into I am as I am. I am like I am. No, I'm not Popeye. I am that I am, and it's all that I am. No, I am the only me. And that's a fact for everybody in the world, actually. We are all the only me. Just who we are, and hopefully doing our best to get by and survive in this craziness that we call the world. If I get to, like, spacey, spiritual universe for you, let me know.
Or mute you.
Just mute me, you know.
We met in a bar and
Yes.
we were having a drink together quite a while ago. I don't know, like a year and a half.
Yeah,
2 years, 3
like
years.
this, yeah.
And since then we kind of kept this non-photo connection.
Yes.
But everybody knows you here. It was interesting because before you came here today, then I was kind of asking around, you know, I know some of the other expats here. I mean,
Right.
You're from the US.
I'm from the US, so I'm again expat like yourself.
And I know a lot of people here, and I was asking them, and everybody knew you. My colleagues know you, old, young, Czechs, Slovaks, everybody knows you. So, I mean, I guess in my world, you're the closest thing to a superstar that I know here. But are you a superstar?
You know, it's true. Everybody knows me in some way, shape, or form. I don't know if that makes me a superstar. I suppose a superstar. What does it mean to be a superstar? Does it mean that's like, you know, rich, big house, Beverly Hills? If that's it, yeah, no, I'm still poor. I still have to pay bills and work like everybody else. I'm super friendly.
Okay,
I'm
you're
super
not,
energetic.
Yeah, you're not the superstar then.
Then, yeah, probably not a superstar. But that's the thing.
But people recognize you on the
People
street.
recognize me on the street. People recognize me everywhere. And because I live in a country where it's not easy to not be recognized.
Yeah.
I am a black woman in a country where I'd say 1 in every 20 persons here is a person of color.
Yeah.
I don't feel racism or anything like that, but
You stand out.
I stand out. So that and the thing is, even at my 152 centimeters, I think my entire life I have somehow always stood out. Like there's some giant or something inside of me trying to get out of this small body.
Within you lives a giant.
Yeah, you know, there's something in there, and it can be a culmination of all of my past lives of everyone who I was and or who I still have to be. I don't know.
But does how do Czech people deal with someone famous like this? I mean, because you know, is it like do they talk to you? Do they ask you something, or do they have an opinion?
Oh, well, they definitely talk. They definitely interact. Not always the way I would like. For instance, if I'm in the toilet, I really, I'm just not in the mood to take a selfie with you. You know, I want to like pee, come out, wash my hands, do my thing. I don't need to be having a selfie with you in the toilet. But sadly, I think there's got to be hundreds of selfies with me in this world of me with somebody in a toilet because people have no boundaries.
Yeah.
And
Because I guess this is mostly when people are drunk anyway, right? So the
well-
boundaries are gone.
well, the boundaries are gone. But even okay, this woman, she might have been drunk. I don't know. I didn't know her. I was in the bank. I was at the window, the bank window with a teller and everything. And I'm trying to pay some money into the bank. And the woman next to me, an older woman, and this is why it really shocked me, because this woman was, she could have been the age of my mother, my children's grandparents, And I'm at the bank window, and she looks over at me. I don't know. I turned my head for something, because you have that feeling when somebody's like staring at you. And she looks at me. I look at her, and I just smile, and I go on along my business. She runs from the next window. Literally, she jumped on me, grabbed me, and started shaking. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, I love you. Can I have an autograph? And I'm like, okay, so the bank teller also thinks this is kind of strange. I think this is like really annoying. I don't think this is strange, because I think this is Tuesday. It's just
Paying the bills.
It's paying the bills. And this kind of crap happens all the time. And I know she didn't mean it in a bad way. And I know people never mean it in a bad way when they come to me. But okay, I also get starstruck. I mean, when I turned 50 last year, friends did this beautiful gift for me, because it's like I'm going to be 51 in a month. I don't have, what am I going to do with a material gift? I want something I can remember, because then I can never lose it and not have to worry if I throw this card out, is somebody's feelings going to get hurt or something. They arranged for me to meet Antonín Panenka, who is for me the greatest Czech football player of all time, with this very famous goal that's actually called the Panenka. He just turned 70 the day before I turned 50 last year.
Oh.
So this was my dream. Okay, his name is Antonín. I'm Tonya. So we're two Tonys. Our birthdays are one day.
But that's just like in November, right? Now
No, in December. So in a month.
It's in a month.
So December 16th is the birthday of Antonín Panenka, and December 17th is my birthday. So they did this, and I was, in shock. I mean, it wasn't even a case of me seeing someone and running to them. He was brought there for me, and you are Antonín Panenka. We're both Tony. We have the name days next to each other, the birthdays next to each other, I couldn't.
Yeah,
I couldn't.
You were starstruck.
I was starstruck, but if I had seen him across the room, I wouldn't go there.
No.
No, but I think that's because of the business that I'm in.
Yeah.
And these people don't mean it badly. It's they see someone that they know from television or the movie screen or radio or on stage. And for them, it's just unbelievable that these people, that we do things like go to the toilet, go grocery shopping, take our children to school. And the only thing, and I'm very, very happily divorced, the only thing I miss about being married was that I had a different name. So that I could legitimately say when people, are you Tonya Graves? No, because I wasn't. It was my Batman Bruce Wayne moment.
Yeah. That's cool.
And then I could get out of these situations where I was like trying to do something with my children or spend time with my friends. I could actually continue doing that.
Yeah.
Now I can't, because I don't like to lie. That's the problem. Maybe this is why I'm not a true superstar.
Yeah, it's the Catholic school.
The Catholic school, yeah. Oh, the Catholic school. No, that I'm just a heretic. But I'm proud of that too,
Yeah, I guess it's when you're a superstar, it can be difficult to pay your bills on Tuesdays.
Yes, it can.
You pay them on the internet bank.
Yeah, that's what I'm so not technical.
No.
I'm a little bit old school in that way, but I'm getting better. I'm learning, I'm catching up in this new
wave,
this new century. We're already 20 years in.
But okay, so here we are in Prague, 2020. You're a superstar. Everybody knows you. But it hasn't been like this always. I mean, it started somewhere. So where did it start?
No, okay. So I'm from the United States. I'm from New York, which state, which I have to say, because other than Washington, state. We have to say state, or everyone thinks we are either from Washington, D.C. or New York City. New York is a gorgeous state. Manhattan, New York City, and all those other boroughs, it's just a little teeny tiny part of it. But most of the people live there. But I'm from the part where there are less people and there's beautiful nature, and yeah, it's just nice. I grew up there, oldest of five.
Big family.
Oldest of five. I have 2 brothers and 2 sisters. And because of it, I was always like, I'm never having kids. Done it. Been there, done that. My mom days are over, you know. And I even, I remember when I was younger, like I think from the time I was 12, I was counting down the years. I knew that at 17,
You could leave.
I could leave. And I even already had my school picked out, you know, because I grew up in a town called Poughkeepsie. I was born in a place called Peekskill, where most of my mother's family lived. And when she married my dad, which is also kind of funny how they met, my mom met my dad because she was visiting her aunt in New York City, my grandmother's sister, who had married my other grandmother's brother. And they met this way. So I would have the same family even if I had a different mother or a different father, which is kind of funny. But anyway, my father grew up in the Bronx, and he wanted his children to grow up with children.
Yeah.
So my father was really nice, married my mom, knocked her up a few times, left us with the trees, and disappeared.
How old were you when he left?
Oh, the first time, I think 6. My father was kind of like, my mom was always like, you know, taking him back. I guess it was kind of like, you know, he's gone and he's come back from the raids. So, well.
And what kind of America is this? I mean, what kind of...
Well, where I grew up in Poughkeepsie, it's a city. It's not a huge city in terms of like what are American cities. There's probably like a population of 500,000. So it's a smaller city. But the nature there is gorgeous. We have the Hudson River, the mighty Hudson. Unlike here, we have the beautiful Vltava, but you walk across it in 5 minutes. The mighty Hudson, you drive across in 10. And
everything bigger in the States.
Everything's bigger in America. And it's kind of like a highlandy kind of area. In this mid-Hudson Valley, beautiful in the autumn, apples everywhere. That's why we're the Big Apple, because also like Washington, that's weird. We're the 2 apple states. Best apples you ever want to have, New York. But I grew up in an apartment building, not very rich. My family was quite poor. As I said, my father was coming and going all the time. I had to basically take care of my younger brothers and sisters because my mom, first she went back to university. She's a nurse, is what she studied to do, but then she went back to university to study. Then she got a job being a welder, working for General Motors. So she was working in the evenings, and I was like taking care of my younger brothers and sisters, get everyone to school. She would have everything prepared. By the time we got home, then she would leave to go 2 hours away so that she could work in this factory on the assembly line making cars for General Motors. We didn't actually have our own car, but she was making cars. And it was tough. I didn't enjoy it because I felt like I didn't get to have a childhood because I had to
be responsible
for 4 other children.
Yeah.
And which is why I didn't want to have children, which is probably why I'm going to be 51 in less than a month, but probably still not an adult.
Yeah. But it's actually that what you say, and being not being, it's a syndrome, you know. It's It's when you are entrusted with a lot of responsibility as a kid, you just don't want it as a grown up. You know?
You don't want it as a grown up, you know. And the thing is, I even think back, you know, I look back, it's like, damn, I was way more responsible. I was so much more responsible. I'm 50. I'm like, yeah, woohoo, let's stay out all night, you know. Well, now you can't because there's the bands and everything. Yeah. But anyway, at least let's stay up all night and watch TV, you know, eat ice cream for breakfast.
But this, I mean, like, it's interesting that your mom studied to become a nurse, becomes a welder. I mean,
Yeah.
was that money was better, or what
Well,
was
yeah,
that?
the money was better. She got this job. It was a union job, and a union job is a good thing because the union takes care of its own. I know there's a lot of people who are like, the union, no, it's just another step to communism. Well, one, it's not communism. There are some socialistic things there, but I don't think there's anything wrong with socialism as long as it's not a dictatorship and totalitarianism. I mean, I suppose it works okay in Sweden, but they're neutral, and I'm a little bit sketchy on neutrality. And I'm more of as far as the northern countries, my particular favorite is Norway. I know you're from Iceland, but they're second best.
Yeah, Norway is like a Monday production of Iceland. It's they're okay.
They're okay, yeah. It's like, you know, I'm okay. I'm okay with Iceland. I like the Norwegians the best, but Iceland is good, and then the Danes, and then the Swedish, but only because they had ABBA.
Yeah, and quite a lot of other bands though.
Well, yeah, I know. Okay, but I mean, ABBA is really the crowning glory of Sweden. We know this.
So you're there, responsible for your siblings. Mom is away a lot. Dad comes and goes. Are you in touch with him today, or?
Today I'm in touch with him, but that happened after I spent most of my childhood making my siblings hate him. I'm like, you know, mainly my brother. My youngest brother has a different father, so he had a little bit of a different situation. I think probably better taken care of by his father as well. My father was a Baptist minister at one point. It's funny, both of my parents at the end, before they went to retirement, were nurses. My mother went back to nursing after a while, after we had gotten older, because she was doing this welding job to make money to support the family and also put me through Catholic school, which I didn't want, but I thank her for now, because it was definitely a much better education for me. But I'm in touch with my father now. When I turned 28, I was already living here in Prague, and I wrote him a letter. And I said, you know what? I'm 28, and I don't want to waste my energy and my life being angry and hating someone. I don't think you were a good parent ever. I don't think you should have been a parent. That happens to people sometimes. But I will not, I would like to have a relationship with you if you're interested, perhaps as a friend. He jumped on it. We started to write, and we became friends. And through that, it even
This is before emails, or?
Okay, this is 98. This is emails. Emails were still like, you know, I was still trying to get him on email. You know? So it was actually old school written letter in the post.
Wow.
And he sent me a letter back. And he said yes. And through this, actually, it started to open up a way for him to even get back into the lives of my siblings. I mean, they realized that he's a jerk, and I explained to them, like, why? How could you be friends with him? Like, well, I called him on all of his jerkery, on all of his assholeness. And he admitted, like, yeah, you are absolutely right. So I will take what I can get. And it did become a good relationship. He's going into dementia now, so it's a little bit harder. But my mom is still alive. Both parents still alive. And it's funny because I'm the oldest of 5. I have 2 sons. I had conceded I wanted to have a kid, and I wanted one little girl. I got 2 giant sons. But my sisters, I have 2 sisters, each have 5 children. I'm like, why? Did you not learn? Did you not
They didn't go to Catholic school.
Well,
actually, Catholic, yeah, that's the thing.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
You can't use any protection.
I know, but we're not Catholic.
No,
I'm a child of the universe. I don't know. I believe in the universe. I believe in all the gods, old and new.
But you went to Catholic school.
I went to Catholic school. The others got out after 8th grade. I had to go for 12 years.
But how is because you know I I've heard people when I post those nun selfies, I occasionally get this feedback. Oh, you don't know what I went through. I went to Catholic, and some people even told me I don't find this
Yeah.
funny because I was in Catholic school and it was horrible.
Well, the thing is like everything, it's changed throughout the decades and things like that. But it was like seriously hardcore. By the time I got into Catholic school, it was a little bit better. Nuns were not allowed to beat you with rulers and things like that anymore. I'm from that first wave of kids. Like I'm from Vatican II. Vatican II happened. Well, no, actually, Vatican II. That was 1976. So by the time I was in first grade, you couldn't beat nuns. Couldn't really beat kids anymore. They didn't have to wear the dresses all the way down to their feet. You could actually have it just below your knees. I remember kids freaking out, coming home like, "Oh my God, the nuns have feet!" Because because you never saw that before, right? So nuns could, and they could also. They didn't have to wear the habit. They could wear like lay clothes so that they could function in society a little bit better if they wanted. But I do know that there was one particular nun who was in the library. I'm a very big reader. I love to read. I've always loved to read. I've been reading since I was 4 years old. And Sister Angeline was the library nun. And she was an amazing person. She just shined, like light shining out of her. She was good. She wasn't mean like all the other nuns. And also, it was always a treat for me. Yay, I can go to the library. So maybe this was the one that made me think I wanted to be a nun for about 2 seconds. But it wasn't as bad for me. I mean, they were harsh in other ways. I was, at the end of it all, I got kicked out of class for being a heretic because Christ apparently founded his church on Peter and not me. I made the mistake. And this is, I mean, you can't make this stuff up. We had a true or false test in religion. I'm in last year of high school, and the question, I got everything right. The only thing I didn't get right was the Catholic Church, and this means Roman Catholic. All you other Catholics, you lesser Catholics, no, not you. Only the Roman Catholic Church can interpret the Bible. So I'm like, false. I read it. You read it. Everybody here, we all read it. We've all got our own interpretation, right? But, okay, the church says we got to do that. Yeah, I'll follow the rules, but God gave me a brain. You're not going to tell me that I can't interpret it. And that was the mistake. I said, God gave me a brain. I said, everybody interprets it different. We just follow the rules. And then I became a heretic. But that might have been my first touch of stardom because I was envied by all.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
The teacher was insane.
Yeah.
And no one wanted to be in her class. So being kicked out made me kind of the star of my year.
Yeah. But then is that already there that you get into, like, because I know you studied acting in university. Did you get it on music and that stuff? Was that started already back then or?
Well, I think I always wanted to be... I think I always had wanted to be an actor, even like as a small kid, like even all the other things that I wanted to be. The acting, because I think I had a fear of death, a really big fear of death. And I thought, if I'm famous, I don't die.
You're immortal.
Because every time someone remembers me, I'm still alive in some way. I don't know if that's true. Maybe. But... So I think from a young age, I thought, okay, so I'll be an actor. I never had any ambitions of being a singer. I had an aunt who actually died of corona this year. She had the most amazing voice I ever heard in my life. And when I was small, because my birthday is at the end of the year, my parents sent me to go live with my grandmother and my aunts so that I could start school and not wait an extra year because there was some cutoff point. And she sang all the time. She never sang the right words. It always got on my nerves. I mean, it just drove me insane. And I think even at times she would do it to drive me insane.
Yeah.
But she probably is the reason why I sing. She inspired me because I always sang with her. But I never imagined I'd be a singer. She sang so well. She had a chance to become famous, but she had such bad stage fright. Her big break came. She got on the stage and she froze.
No.
And she's like, nah, not for me. I'll just sing at home while I'm cooking and doing everything else. and
crazy.
she was happy with it.
But was there a lot of art in the family, or
No, that's the other thing. There was none of that in the family. I mean, we were just poor people just doing our job. You know, we had construction workers, nurses. My grandmother did. She ran a daycare center. So somehow my family was always in the business of like, sort of like helping other people. But when I went to university, I decided I'm going to study acting. So that the acting bug was there. I was even in the drama club in school. Did some plays while I was in high school. And I got into the school. I was really excited about it. And then I realized I can't stand actors. I'm like, oh no, because they never turn off. I think there's a difference. I think this is not all actors, but I think that there's definitely a difference between screen actors and stage actors.
Yeah.
Stage actors are always acting,
yeah.
we're always singing and playing and la la. It's like sometimes you got to take it
Chill.
down. And I'm super mega giga hyperactive, and if it was too much for me, that was a lot.
Yeah.
So I changed from just drama to musical theater. So I thought, okay, yeah, then I can do the singing thing. And from that, I only did 2 musicals in the end. I did Hair.
in the U.S.?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did Hair, and I did Little Shop of Horrors.
Yeah.
But because of that,
2 classics.
people heard that I could sing.
Yeah.
And so then I started, I was at a party. I was like maybe 18, 19 at a party. And I had tried for the very first time. Beware, listeners. I tried for the very first time ecstasy. My friends are like, you should try this drug, ecstasy. I went to a school in a hippie village. I even moved there after I finished school. We smoke grass. Sometimes somebody will have like a trip, you know. I even did that. We'll get to that. But so they're like, you should try this ecstasy. You will love everything. What? No, you see your shoe? It's just a shoe now, but wait until you will love it. So I'm at a party, and people already know that I sing a little bit, and there's a band jamming, and they start playing Janis Joplin, who is like my all-time favorite. So they're like, come on, join in and sing. So they start playing, and I'm like, okay, so I'm singing, and all of a sudden, the
hits
drug
you.
kicks in.
Yeah.
Okay, I've never done this in my life. I have no idea what's going to happen. And the drug kicks in, and all of a sudden, it's like, wow, I really love this song I'm singing. Those aren't the lyrics. Oh, wow, the colors are just even more. Oh, wow, my face feels so nice. You know this part, sorry. So this was my first experience with this drug, you know. But I was always very weary or leery of it because they're like, oh, it takes your spinal fluid, you know, and I'm really small. So I didn't want to get any smaller. So I was always very careful about that. But I was also in this time in university. This was after I'd been in a fraternity, maybe even before. I wasn't selling. I was the middleman or the bag man. So in effect, maybe I was a drug dealer. I don't know.
That's really cool.
I don't know.
I have a gangster here, you know.
I don't know. I was so gangster and I didn't even know it. Little hippie girl wearing my moccasins and my tie-dye shirt and Indian print skirts. And a friend of mine was like, I had friends who wanted and I had friends who had it. So I just me, Nokia, connecting people.
You're a logistic partner of a drug dealer.
At
least.
So, and only years, many years, like 20 years later, did I realize, oh my God, was I a drug dealer? I don't know. Maybe I was, but I'm not anymore. So obviously I'm not going to run for American president, but evidently, I don't know.
But so you're basically there.
I'm singing at the party. The thing kicks in.
But that set you on a path, or
It did, and also, what really set me on a path was when I pledged this fraternity. You have to like do everything that you have to do when you're going through pledging, and we would have a meeting every week, like to see if you've done everything you're supposed to have done, and each week you are assigned a song, and the sisters already in there in the auxiliary of the little sisterhood. Basically, this is their fun, their television at the end of the week. You come with your other pledges, make sure you've got everything done that you're supposed to have ready, and they sit and they have wine or beer or whatever while you're there, like trying not to make too much of a fool of yourself. Well, they always like assigned a song, and you had to learn it, and they knew that everyone would sing it bad, and this was the fun, you know. I came. They forgot what song they assigned me, which was good because I didn't remember. And they're like, sing! What did we assign you? No, actually, they didn't assign me. And you didn't assign me a song, sisters. Sing, pledge! But you didn't sing anything. So I go back to my old standby from the party, and I start to sing Me and Bobby McGee. And silence. They just listened, and like we're blindfolded, so we don't know everyone who's in that room. I mean, we do, we have an idea, but we don't know really everyone who's there. And after that, I was a legend. They're like, we had to do things like we have to go visit brothers and sisters every day, see if they need help, like bring them their lunch or whatever. And they're like, "You're that singing pledge, aren't you?" What do you mean? And every day, in the spirit of fraternities, there was a keg somewhere at one of the different frat house places where the brothers or sisters lived. And we had to go there every day, sing pledge, sing. And I listened to that for a month every day. Sing pledge, sing. And I had to sing. And I was so afraid. And I inherited the stage fright from my auntie, but and apparently her voice. But I was like, and I was so afraid. But because I had to, I did it. And till this day, every time I go on stage, I do have that stage fright. But it changes to adrenaline, so it's a different kind of energy that I use to make the concert better. So luckily, thanks to that fraternity, thank you, Pi Alpha Nu, if you're listening to this podcast somewhere.
No one listens to this.
Okay, well, I'll tell them to listen. Thank you. And I even thanked them when I made my first solo album. I'm like, for every single time I heard Sing Pledge, and I wanted to cry because I didn't want to sing anymore. Thank you, because now I do it.
But was it like a revelation to yourself? I mean, were you pushing outside boundaries that like when you started hearing yourself sing and you realized you could do it?
Then it was.
Or you always knew that you could?
No. I mean, it was so hard for me because I don't like to listen to my voice. Now I'm used to it. It took like, I don't know, probably 45 years of my life, but I couldn't listen to a recording of my voice talking or singing. I'm like, who is that? I didn't recognize it, and it wasn't the voice that I imagined was in this body that I have. So, that people like to listen to me sing was always, it's still kind of a surprise. I mean, it's not a surprise anymore. I know people enjoy it, but I didn't understand to what levels or to the depth of which people enjoyed it. Like, wow, can they hear or do they hear what I hear? There wasn't that self-confidence in it. And I'm still working on that today even.
But I guess that is also the kind of what like this you're always striving to improve somehow.
Yeah, always.
And that's the motivation, you know?
That's the motivation. And the thing is, even before I came here in the States, that was never, ever, I was never trying to be a star. I was never trying to be famous. Once I finally got into it and I was doing it, it was just fun because I liked it. It was my hobby. My hobby was singing in CBGBs, which, by the way, is the most disgusting place. I mean, I remember the first time I heard I was going to sing in CBGBs, I was like, yeah.
But I mean, that's where Guns N' Roses played, and
no, like, yeah, everybody played there. So you can
yeah.
imagine. I was like, I'm playing CBGBs. Yeah, this is cool. But that was the thing. It was like I was working in a shelter for runaway and homeless teenagers during the day, like 2-3 days a week. They're 24 hours nonstop doing that, and then like I have the rest of the week. I can go and rehearse with a band. And I started to sing just before I left the States. I was singing a band called Marmalade. And that's the band that I played a few times with in CBGBs and a few other places in New York City. And that was a big step for me. That was like, wow, this is kind of real what I do. It's like, but still, it was always my hobby. Yeah. I wanted to continue in this work, helping these runaway and homeless youth. When that got to be too much, because it's a job that I loved, but it was physically having a bad effect on me. I ended up with an ulcer because I worked for an agency, a non-government agency that you have your rules on what you can do and what you can't do. And it was really, working with these kids, it was really close for me because, how I said before, I felt like I didn't have a childhood because I always had to take care of everybody else. And these kids, I felt some sort of kinship with them because they didn't all have the same story as me. I was pretty darn lucky. I was dealing with kids who were being sexually abused by foster parents, or physically abused, or just bad relationship in the family, or just nowhere to go. But I felt that I understood what it felt like to be a misunderstood teen, and I wanted to help these kids. I was only 22 at the time, so it wasn't like it was like I wasn't there so long. It wasn't so long ago that I was in a similar place. But whenever we did something, whenever we did something to help those kids, it was the best feeling in the world. But sometimes we couldn't, and that feeling of powerlessness and ate you
on the inside.
Yeah. And that feeling of it's not fair. And that feeling of like I'm so insignificant that I can't do something to make something better, make this situation better for this kid who really there's no reason at all should be in this situation. And so then I left and I went to a New Age bookstore. That was so much better.
Yeah, that's probably better. That heals the ulcer.
That healed the ulcer. Yeah. Just all day, incense sage, burning, sage. Selling the Celestine prophecy.
But you so basically you are you graduate from
No.
You didn't graduate.
No, I became a college dropout because I couldn't afford anymore to go to school. And I needed to have a part-time job, but the only job I could find was full-time. So I took the full-time job. I didn't graduate. But then I got into that work where I was working in this human services, like this. I was on the crisis intervention hotline. Then I went to the part of the same agency, the organization. It's called Family. Then I worked in the crisis intervention hotline. I worked in their walk-in center where we did food packages and clothes for people without money, things like that. And through that, I got into the shelter for the runaway and homeless youth.
Fuck being a nun. You sound more like Mother Teresa.
I don't know. It's just because I felt good when I was helping somebody else. Yeah. And I think there's something in that in the music as well. Because when I go on stage, I don't like it to be just a concert. I want it to be a shared experience for everyone. So everybody in the audience is just as important as the people on the stage. So I will call you out and talk to you or make a joke about you or have a conversation. No, it's not off limits. Off limits is you jumping on the stage trying to kiss me. That's off limits. But if you ask nicely, I might let you kiss my hand. But this is all I was doing, and then the music was always still a hobby on the side. Yeah. And I came to the Czech Republic.
But that's like just as a tourist, right?
Just as a tourist. I had this lovely little accident where I walked into a full plate glass door and 5 people behind me walked into me because we all thought it was an open door. And I lost one of the teeth right in I don't know what number it is here in America. I think it's a 1, and in Czech it's an 8. Whatever. One of my front 2 teeth gone. I'm 22 years old. No tooth in the front of my mouth. So I'm like, no. So in typical American style, When something like this, when an accident like this happens to you in a restaurant or a bar or any place, you sue.
Yeah.
You sue and you win because it's their fault.
So this happens here,
This happens still in the States.
still in the States.
And in the States, we figure out what's going on and they're like, okay, hold on. Because they know I can sue. And someone's already told me, sue. And I'm like, I don't want to sue. That's not me. That's not who I am. I don't have insurance. I don't have a tooth. If they pay for me to fix this tooth, we are all good. Except they started to pay and they stopped before I had a tooth. At which point I found a lawyer who drove a Mercedes 450 SL Cabriolet. So I figured he knew what he was doing. He's won a few cases. And then we talked, and he's like, that's really funny. I've already sued and won. It's a shame you didn't come here immediately, because what we're going to do is sue for $1 million. I'm like, what? The tooth doesn't cost that much. Tooth costs $1,500. He's like, yeah, but if you came here before you went to the dentist, we would have sued for $1 million and won. Now we're going to sue for $1 million. They've already lost a very, very similar case. Same things. Because there's a law in New York State. If there's a full plate glass window or door, you have to have a sticker or something. Yeah. So basically what happened to me doesn't happen.
But it's usually at eye height.
Right.
But
I know you're saying I'm small, but they had a bar there, and the bar was broken.
Okay.
And the exit sign there must be lit exit signs. The exit sign was broken, the bar was gone, and the door was closed. So they have 3 counts of I should have had $1 million. But the guy knew they were not going to do it. He knew that they would settle out of court. So we sued for $1 million. They settled for 35. The lawyer got 10. No, the lawyer got 5. No, he did not. The lawyer got 10%. Pardon. So that means he got what, like
3,500?
And the rest was mine.
Whoa.
Fixed my tooth. Came to Europe.
That's the most influential tooth ever.
ever. This little tooth right here. So I came to Europe and I was like, yeah, this is great. I'm going to go to Paris because I had hopes of being Josephine Baker. I had hopes of getting out of America a long time ago. But I was always there.
But this trip was as a tourist.
This trip was as a tourist.
Yeah.
And
not like a location scouting for future lives.
just tourists. But I came, looked in the guidebook. They're like, oh, yeah, you can see some great jazz in this club. Because I like jazz. I just didn't think I was myself as a jazz singer. First night, we go to a club. The club is closed down because it's in Obiecny Dum, which closed the day before I got here for reconstruction.
This is after Paris. You go to Paris and then here.
No, I got here before
First.
Paris. I flew into Prague. I was in Prague for a week, but my very first day in Europe. So we we find a different club. We find this jazz club, Agartha. We go there. Band's playing. It's really the Luboš Anders acoustic set. What I don't know at this time is that Luboš Anders is like the greatest blues guitarist of the Czech Republic.
This is 1995.
Yeah. And I have no idea. This is February 15th, 1995. Sorry, 16th. Because 15th. I flew on the 14th. Yeah. Anyway, so I come, and on a break, I say, wow, you guys are really good. Because that's what we do in America. Yeah, somebody's good, tell them. Well, actually, maybe, I don't know, maybe that's not what we do in America, but that's what black people do in old jazz clubs and blues clubs in America. So I went and I said, wow, you guys are great. And the guy's like, oh, thank you. Where are you from? I'm like, New York, because it's my first day out of America. I have no idea. You have to say New York State. I have no idea that people don't know this. So I go sit down. The guy comes over to my table, and he's like, so, New York. Yeah. Do you sing? Okay, that's a very strange question. But I am black, I am American, and I'm too small to play basketball. So what else can I obviously do in the eyes of this Czech musician? I'm like, yeah, strange question, but yes, I do. Oh, well, great. Would you like to sing with us? I'm into the blues. I like jazz, but I'm a blues lady. But this is the greatest blues guitarist in the country. So I'm like, he goes, comes back. I talked to the band leader, And he says, you will sing 3 songs with us. Not, would you like? Can you? Do you have time? No, you will. That's his exact words. And I'm like, okay. But no worries, the greatest blues guitarist. So he chose 3 songs. We sang Stormy Monday, Red House, and then because it was a jazz club, we played Autumn Leaves. That was my one jazz song. And then when I left, they said, you will come tomorrow and sing again. Not would you like, hey, you don't have plans? So I came back, and the third night I said, hey, we are going to that blues club because I want to hear some music, and I want people to leave me alone. I came on vacation. What is this? This is crazy. Wow, these Czech people are so strange. Third night, third club, we go to Viola. Or second club, we go to Viola. And as I walk in, this guy's like, hey, what you going to sing with us? This is my 3rd day in Europe, my 3rd day in the Czech Republic. I'm like, I'm sorry, you have me confused with someone else. No, I know all about you. No, see, I'm here only 3 days. No, I know everything about you. And I look over his shoulder, and the drummer from the first 2 nights is sitting at the table waving at me like, hi. I'm like, oh, shit. So in we go. And the band is playing, and they don't know anything that I know. But we do a jam. And they say, well, we're playing in that first club on Sunday. So who do you like to sing? And they learn some songs so that I can sing with them in the other place.
That's really cool.
And then they asked me to come back and be their singer.
Permanently.
Well, that's a very nice offer, but yeah. So I spend the rest of my time here out of clubs because I don't feel like singing anymore. And on the 7th day, we go to Paris. And I'm like so excited because like this is my dream. And I hated it. Every second. We went there. We stayed there for like 5 days. And my boyfriend at the time, he had some relatives there. And they had a house just 10 minutes on the train outside of Paris. 10 minutes, super. 10 minutes on the train outside of Paris, normal people. I finally realized that it's not the French, it's the Parisians. I went there and I was so excited to use this 5 years I spent studying French, like for real, on some real French people. They were so over it. They heard my accent. They refused to speak to me in English, even though they refused to speak to me in French once they heard my accent. And then, only then, they would speak to me in English, but like with complete disdain. Like, ugh. You get on the train 10 minutes out, and everyone's like, oh, it's so cute, listen to you trying to speak French. Well, it's actually this, but we know what you mean. Here, have an extra croissant. You know, it's just like, whoa. It's like teleporting into a completely different dimension. But I went home, and I went back to the New Age bookstore, and I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to take a summer vacation. I bought a ticket, and I came back for what I thought was going to be 3 months, and I'm still here. So it's a pretty long summer vacation.
Never look back.
No, I mean...
And those guys that you met on the first trip, you...
Well, when I came back...
Yeah.
So the guys who asked me to come back, their band ended because the main guy, amazing guitarist, Slovak guitarist, Petr Binder and Ondřej Konrad, who is a singer and harmonica player, big in the blues scene in Czech Republic. Petr said, that girl is not a singer. She didn't study to sing. She just sings because she likes it, and she is better than anybody I ever heard. It doesn't make sense. End of the band. I'm just ending. I don't want to sing, nothing. I'm just going to be playing my guitar and making music. That's it. It's done. But I came back. He met me at the airport, and he's like, remember that very first night you sang? That guy's singer, and this is so funny. He says, he just lost his black American singer, and they're looking for a new one. Their black American singer just went back to America. So now I'm thinking maybe he had plans already that first night. He went back there, singer went back to America, and they heard you back. And so I don't have a band for you, but there's one waiting for you. I mean, you can't make that stuff up. If somebody put that in a film, you'll be like, oh yeah, right. But it really did happen like that. So I actually sang with Luboš Anders Blues Band for like year and a half, maybe. Before, and I didn't, again, it was my hobby. It wasn't my job. That didn't happen. I didn't become a full-time professional singer until 2000.
5 years after you arrived.
5 years after I arrived, because I came, first thing, I got a job as a waitress. So my first job was in Radost, waiting tables.
Yeah. I know that place.
And I did that for about a month. And that was really funny. That was a job that I tried to quit, and they tried not to let me. I'm like 2 weeks notice. I'm like, yeah, I'm done here. This is not my thing. I'm not going to be doing this anymore. And then they kept putting me on the schedule. I'm like, which part of I don't work there for a month already did you not get? So that was also funny. But thanks to Radost, I also got a really big kind of helping hand in the music scene. He's called TJ Evo. He used to have a record shop right next to Radost. When you go into Radost, there's a shop there on the side, and he used to sell albums like on vinyl, CDs, MCs, and even video cassettes. It was a video. What do you call? Oh God, I can't.
Rental.
Remember. Yes, video rental. I don't even remember what it's called anymore because we don't have them. And he was a friend of Ivan Kral, who was a big star here, because he left and made it big in America, working with Patti Smith and Iggy and the Stooges and stuff like that. And he heard a tape, a cassette of the band that I sang in before I left America, and
Marmalade.
Yeah, Marmalade. He heard a tape of Marmalade, and he decided him and. Ivan Kral, they decided I was suffering in the jazz rock scene of the Czech Republic, and they wanted to do something better for me, like maybe find a better way for me to. Yeah. And Ivo Pospíšil actually was the one who got me together with the band Liquid Harmony, which was one of the first electronic dance music bands here in Czech Republic. I even won my first Czech Anděl, or like their version of the Grammy, with that band. So being a waitress brought me some luck because it introduced me to some people that I might not have met otherwise.
But that's how Prague was back in those days.
Yeah.
Because, I come here like 14 years after you, and even at that time, 2009, when I came to Prague, then it was very much about, there were certain hotspots.
Yeah.
Like Radost is a club, it's a music club and a restaurant, and it's, I don't know, even when I came, I went there a few times for drinks and for food and stuff, and you kind of had a feeling that, okay, so here is something happens here, here is where you will meet a DJ or an artist or something like that.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like that. It was a very small community somehow.
It was very small, and it was full of expats because it was owned by a couple. The husband was Slovak and the wife from the States. And so it was kind of a very hip place, though. Like, it was one of the places to be seen. Like, that's where all the cool people went for brunch on Sundays. Yep. And that's actually how I ended up asking for a job there, because I had gone for brunch, and I was like,
you came there as a cool person on a Sunday?
Yeah. And then I was like, hey, you know what? I have some money in the bank, but wouldn't it be good if I didn't have to live off that? Let's get a job and keep that money like for safekeeping, And so I did that for a while, but in the end, I ended up working in bookstores because I knew that. I couldn't do the work that I did in the States working with kids because of the language barrier at the time. I didn't speak Czech at all. So I got a job in an English bookstore, Big Ben Bookshop. They're not here anymore. Then after that, I got a job in the Globe, and they're still here. Yeah. But I got a job in the original one that was over in Prague 7 on Janovského Street. And that was fun, too. First, I did Big Ben, and then that was where I started to learn. Like, everywhere I worked, I tried to improve my Czech language. So first I got waitressing Czech. So, I could say things about food and order and stuff like that. Yeah. Then I started working in bookstores, and I learned how to, things about ordering books and things like that. All of this stuff in Czech. So my vocabulary was building, but only
Segmentized. in a way, yeah.
segmentized, exactly. And all the while I was still singing. And then I got a job, which I thought it was my dream job. I got a job as a teaching assistant because then again, I was working with kids. And this is what I really, really, really loved. So I got a job as a teaching assistant in the English International School of Prague. And I was the hot commodity because I was one assistant for like 5 different teachers and they shared me, whatever. But I loved it because, again, I was still in this expat situation, which I was trying to get out of. I really wanted to get a handle on the language here and be able to integrate because the first few months that I was here, like probably the first 3/4 of a year that I was in Prague, I was mainly with expats and only speaking English or maybe practicing my French with some friends from France or whatever, or learning new words from different languages from friends from other countries, but still not the Czech one. And this is where I wanted to be because I had hoped that being here would make me appreciate America more. But the exact opposite happened. I came here and I realized, oh my God, I've never felt so much freedom as I had when I came to the Czech Republic in America ever. And that's our motto, land of the free, home of the brave. There was no freedom. I had so much freedom here. So I did the teaching assistant at the English International School of Prague. Then I went to the International School of Prague, which is the American one, where I lost my job. My last J job, I was fired from it because, and the thing was, they fired me, but they didn't have cause. So this was like, this was beauty.
Could you sue them?
No, but better. Better than suing. I didn't have to go to the old American standby of suing, but I had just ended with the band Liquid Harmony. Like we were really young and got a lot of fast fame and just whatever. I turned 30. I was working in schools and I felt happy about it. And I didn't really care that I didn't have a band because still it was my hobby. And I was working as a teaching assistant for a teacher who just didn't particularly care for me. And she wanted me to go. So because she wanted me to go, I had to go. She was the teacher. I was only an assistant. But they didn't have reason. They couldn't just fire me because she didn't like me. So they had to fire me without cause. And because I had an overseas hire contract, which was a mistake on their part because they hired me here already, they had to pay me 3 months in advance and let me go. So I lost my job they had to pay me for the rest of the school year. They had to pay me the rest of the school year.
You could walk
and there
out.
was 3 I could walk out, and this is 1990. This is the year 2000. And I was making, at this point, and then I was being paid in dollars. So already this is like cha-ching. And I was making something like the equivalent of 30,000, 40,000 crowns a month.
Yeah, which is back then like $2,000 was tons of money back then.
Yeah. So this is like,
you're rich.
Yeah, I was mega rich. I had like almost 100,000 or maybe 100,000 crowns in the bank, and I got fired on a Sunday. On Monday, the manager of a new band called Monkey Business called me, and it's really funny because this manager, we already knew each other. It was his club that I sang in the very first day I was ever in Europe and in Prague. And we knew each other because we almost died together.
This is gonna be a long night.
When that first year when I was in Prague in 95. So from 1994 to 1995, I had 3 really bad car accidents. The first one was my fault. In America, I was driving and I lived on Serpentini, windy road. I lived around the corner from this famous spot where Bob Dylan supposedly had his motorcycle accident that messed up his throat. So yeah, I'm in the car, and anyway, I fly off the road, and the car crash lands down about like into some sort of gorge. I looks like a crushed can. I should have been dead, but by some miracle, I wasn't. Then when I went to buy a new bag so I could come back to Prague after being invited by this band, I'm at a red light and a car is driving 80 and a 50 and rear ends me at a stoplight. My sob just like, but luckily everything good. And the third one was going from one concert to the next with this band that I now sing with. And there was a drummer filling in who was the owner of that club. And he's driving. It's dusk. We're coming up to a railroad crossing, but there's no gate in front of it. This is some weird thing that I don't understand in the Czech Republic. There should be gates at every railroad crossing, but that's just my opinion.
It's not everywhere.
Yeah. But anyway, in the distance, apparently he sees the train coming, but it looks like the lights of a car because the crossing is in a curve.
Yeah.
So we're driving. He's not paying so much attention. I'm sleeping. I'm in the back of the car. And I wake up because his wife is screaming. And I look in front of me and I see a train. We have a head-on collision with a Skoda Foreman Kombi. Head-on. Luckily, it was a local train. So it was going like maybe 100 kilometers an hour. But it was able to slow down. So it only dragged us about like 100 meters before it could stop. Everyone, to this day, everyone who was in the car, whether they were born yet or not, they are all alive and well.
So you were hit by a train?
Oh, yeah. We head-on collision with the train, baby.
What the fuck?
I like to think that I am blessed by the gods, old and new.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy stuff.
That's crazy, right? And that was the third one in a year, yeah. So, yeah, I don't...
You're going to be 200 years old or something.
I don't know. I think it was probably just not the right time to leave from this particular life. I'm telling you, I have a good friend of mine here is the economist Tomáš Sedláček. And I have this theory that we were, in another life, we were Viking twins. I was his shield maiden and he was a regular... Killer, you know? But I was there, you know, always at the back. So, you know, I think it just wasn't time for me to leave this life. I've got more to do in this one before I come back and tell the stories of how I was a shield maiden and how I survived head-on collisions with a train. You know, it was just a Saturday.
So, Tonya, you survived two car accidents and one train accident within a year, and you're at that time leaving, or you left the band Liquid Harmony.
Yes.
That was
Liquid Harmony ended in the end of 1999.
Yeah.
We had our last concert sometime in December 1999, and I just left and I said, "That's it. I'm not coming back." And then it just kind of like no one really did anything with it. And then
the guy who drove your car in the train accident was the manager of the club that you sang in the first time, and then the manager of the band that you were about to
so
join.
the very first day in Prague or in Europe ever, I sang in a club called Agarta, owned by Michal Hejna. Michal Hejna was filling in for the drummer that played that night when I was in his club that first night. When we had a car accident, the head-on collision with the train and the Skoda. And from this day, Skoda is my absolute favorite car. Yeah. I will ride in a Skoda anywhere. If I can survive a head-on collision with the train, they have my endorsement.
They're not one of the sponsors here, though.
No, they are not. But and this is not a paid partnership. But I'm just saying, Skoda, if you're out there listening, You want to hook me up with a, I don't know, Kodiak or something like that. I'm all down. Anyway, where were we? Oh, yes. And then he was the manager of Monkey Business. So I'm imagining that if we hadn't, because we didn't meet on that first night with the owner. I just sang in his club. But we met because basically the music scene here, people sort of, the jazz and blues scene, people sort of fill in for others when they can't, when others can't. And he was the manager of Monkey Business. Now, we've had this long history. We were friends. We all survived the car accident. Everybody was okay. Yay, hooray. Cut to 5 years later, and he's like, "Hi, can you come into my office? I got something I want you to hear something." I lost my job on Sunday. Monday morning, he calls me. Monday afternoon, I'm in his office, and he plays this band. He's like, "Ever heard of Roman Holy?" I'm like, Roman Holy. I think I've heard his name. He has that band, Jar or something. Yeah. That's it. So he puts on the song "My Friends." Which I think is the worst thing I have ever heard in my life. What the hell? What, you really think someone's going to listen to this guy singing in English with this ridiculous accent? The thing is, that was the point of the song, and I didn't know at first, because the music is amazing. The musicians in Monkey Business are genius musicians. This is something about the Czech Republic, I think, in general, or maybe Prague. I mean, you can't throw a stone without hitting a musician. And I think it has a very big culture of music throughout the centuries. People come here to write. People are inspired by it, whatever. And that was the joke. But the musicians were so, the music was so brilliant. I'm like, this would be good if they had a better singer. He's like, no.
You walked right into it.
I walked right into it, It's like, the band is called Monkey Business. Aha, okay, get it. Nomen omen. Okay. So I'm like, okay, whatever. You know what? Right now I need a job. So I'm taking this job. He's like, this band, they're looking for someone. They're going to go on tour now. They need more voices so that it'll sound stronger on stage. And I'm like, okay, great. He's like, it'll be 2,000 crowns a concert. We start in May. We finish in June.
2,000 crowns, like $100, right?
Right. But this was in 2000.
Yeah,
so it was still,
it's a lot of money back then.
It's still a lot of money back then. And I still have I got my like 90 or 100,000, whatever I got in the bank.
Your tooth.
I got my golden parachute. Yeah. So my golden parachute is in the bank, and then I'm being offered this, and I think they had a tour of like 10 dates. That's fine with me. That's good. So I'm like, okay, great. I'm gonna do this. And in the meantime, I had already been thinking about moving to Portugal. And leaving Prague and just find another job being a teaching assistant, because in all honesty, being a teaching assistant was super for me. The pay was great. Returnable children, which are by far the best children in the world. Those are the ones that you return them to their parents when you've had enough. Yeah,
they don't stick.
They don't stick. You can get your money back. But Monkey Business started. And I thought this was a job, like, for a limited time. And I remember I had an interview with some magazine. Maybe it was Spy or something. One of those tabloid magazines that don't exist anymore in the Czech Republic. And the guys were helping me to check that everything was right. And I said, yeah, so right, what are you doing now? Well, right now I'm on tour with this new band called Monkey Business. And then I'm going to figure out what I'm going to do after that. No, you're in the band. What do you mean? No. See, we're counting that you're in the band. Like you're not just like touring with us for this. No, you're in the band now. I was like, what? So that was a big shock for me. And it was fun because, again, when I was with Liquid Harmony, it was music that I'd never heard of or that I didn't know.
What type was house?
Which was the house music.
Yeah.
When I was Monkey Business, they did this funk album so the godfather of Monkey Business is Fred Wesley, who was the band leader for James Brown and the JBs. He wrote "Pass the Peas" and all of these other songs that James Brown is like really famous for, because he was the band leader of
Yeah, the big band
yeah.
behind. Yeah.
So he's the godfather of monkey business, and I
What
have
does that mean, being a godfather of like an inspirator or?
Well, the thing is, like, every time you make an album, I don't know if it's how it is in the other worlds, but when you have your album release, things like that, here they do kind of like a baptism. And the person who, they do it for books, they do it for anything, you know, music. So this is a guy who pours the champagne on the newly released album. And you usually ask someone who means something to you. And Fred Wesley was this godfather of this album, because also they wanted him to play trombone and make horn arrangements for this first album that they did. And he agreed. And again, this Mikael Heina, who was the original manager of Monkey Business, he was the real Nokia there, because he connected me with them. He connected Fred Wesley with Monkey Business as well, because he used to do this, I think it was Valentine Jazz Festival, where he would bring lots of famous jazz and blues musicians from outside of the country in. Mm-hmm. So he had a contact for Fred Wesley. He came, he recorded the album with the guys, and he came back when he came back for the champagne. At the very end of the tour, we did shows in Carlo Vivare, and we did like two nights, maybe 3, maybe 2 nights in Luzerna Music Bar in the end of May. I think it was May 27th and 28th. And he was there for them. And so this
and
was
then
like,
you become permanent.
I've become permanent. And so this.
So it's kind of like when they were scheduling you on shifts on Radust without your approval. That you're taken into a band without your own approval.
I didn't even know, but it was fine for me. It was great. I mean, when I met them, the first meeting with the entire band, we sat down in this restaurant, and I came, and they brought me a bouquet of blue roses. And this is really important for me because I'm not really a big flower person. I have allergies. Roses don't make me sneeze, so that's okay. There are flowers that I do like. Actually, that's not true. I am a big flower person, but I don't tend to have them around because they make me sneeze. But I love them. Mm-hmm. They brought me blue roses. And if you know the play, The Glass Menagerie from Tennessee Williams,
yeah,
there's the mother, the sister, and the brother, and the brother brings home a friend for dinner one night, and the sister Laura, she's kind of like smitten with him. He's not really into her, but the thing is, they're always trying to fix her up because she has something wrong with her leg, and so she doesn't really go out much, and she collects these little glass animals. And he says to her, "You're like blue roses." Because it's something that's like, it's not common at all, but still it's quite beautiful, but it's something completely, something completely different. And when they showed up with those blue roses, that was the first time I'd actually seen blue roses. And that was for me like this kind of like sign from the heavens, from the universe, like, you're going to have a good time with this bunch. This is going to be okay. And then when they said, no, we thought you understood. You're in this band, because the manager explained it to me as in they need someone for the tour.
Like a session.
And I took it as super, because this gives me time to get on my feet and look for something else, what the next step will be. And then they're like, no, you're in the band. And by this time I was already with them for like 2 weeks, and it just like really, really clicked. So I was like, okay, great. Nothing to solve there. I'm in the band. So I didn't take it in a bad way that someone had made a decision for me that I had no knowledge of. But again, I ended up somewhere and I didn't even know I was in that band.
and that band became quite big. I mean,
yeah, they are still to this day. I sang with them for 16 years. Yeah. And this year was the 20th anniversary. I don't sing with them anymore. I'm not in the band per se, but I'm not out. It's kind of like a family. You know, like... I do not live with my 4 brothers and sisters anymore, thank God.
But they're still there.
They're still there. They're still my family. You know, we call on holidays and birthdays, and that's the thing. When I left from Monkey Business, it wasn't me trying to end the band. It was just time for me to move on. It was time for me to do something else. And when I left, like we did this thing. We had an agreement with the band that we would each put out a statement. Like, I mean, basically the same thing, because there was no like discrepancy there. But we would tell the fans, you know. So I've put it out there that, like, yes, I'm leaving, but there's not, and to this day nobody can understand that there wasn't some big fight, like the transition that I left and another singer came in. That it was okay. People don't get that.
But you actually, and I think you sang together, both
Yeah,
of you on some
because
concerts, the new singer.
yes,
and you.
Teresa Chernokova was already coming in and being a vocalist
Yeah.
sometimes with us.
Yeah.
And there were times when, because I had already started doing my solo stuff, and I really wanted to actually do something with it, and not just have it kind of like, something on the side, it's a big joke, and never get to have concerts of my own and stuff like that. And Teresa would fill in for me sometimes when there was like a conflict of scheduling, so she would sing. And she'd been there already from the time of my first kid. But the first time that I was pregnant, and like I sang until maybe with both of my kids, I sang like until like the last month before birth. I was on stage, so she filled in for me for a couple concerts with already from the beginning with my first son, and then with the second son, there was like that. There was no question. Like she'd done it. She'd done a good job. I just said, "Hey, would you do this for me again?" And she was happy to do it. So when I left, I thought, "Hey, you know, what about Teresa? She's already here. She's already a part, and it would be an easier transition." And the last year that I was there, we did this thing where there would be concerts where there'd be her, there would be concerts where there would be me, and then there would be concerts where there would be both of us.
Yeah, I've seen some of that.
And I think it was good, because I think it helped the transition. There were a lot of people that were sad and are still kind of upset with me for leaving. But I said in my goodbye speech, like every child, I'm moving away from home, but I will be back for birthdays and holidays. So when Monkey Business does their birthday concerts, I show up. I sing a couple songs with them. When they do their Christmas concerts, I show up. I do a couple songs with them. 2 years ago, Teresa Chernokova had a bad accident just before the Christmas shows. And she couldn't sing all of December, and it was terrible, because it's just like, and so they called me. They're like, "Can you?" I'm like, "Yes, I will help you." You know, it's like if I don't have concerts of my own on these days when you have yours, then you can count with me. And I have to say, it was nice to be back there and be with them, but let me tell you, I do not want to do that full time. I'm gonna be 51 in 3 weeks, 2 weeks, I don't know. And let me tell you, I don't want to be jumping on the stage for 2 hours. I'm old.
but just to give us, I mean, like two out of 5 listeners that are listening to this are not from Czech Republic and Prague. So
Right.
just to put it in a little bit of a context, I mean, you know, you're 16 years with that band, right?
With that band,
yeah.
right.
So how big did it get? I mean, how big is that band? I mean, this is a
Well,
country
I would
of
say this is a country of what, 12 million?
Yeah, 11, 12 million
11,
people.
12 million people, and everybody, I don't know, I think everybody in this country, as well as maybe the next one over in Slovakia as well, probably knows Monkey Business. Whether they know it with me or with Teresa, they know. And I mean, we did in 2007, I mean, Monkey Business is one of the top bands in this country. They may not do stadium concerts like Kabat and David Kohler and things like that, but they have such a fan base. And they, like in the later years, they started to, because we did our stadium tour, where in connection with Nokia, and we did huge concerts in big sport halls around the country. And that's when I had what I felt was my rock star moment.
Did you throw a TV out?
I haven't done that, but other people in Monkey Business have.
Okay, so that's a big band.
That's a big band. But I remember we played here in front of 17,000 people. in the O2 Arena in Prague.
Yeah. It's actually the largest indoor concert arena in Europe, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh well, I've played there.
Of course.
But that's not my biggest audience. But it was great, and that was my rock star moment, to look out and see all those people there in this huge arena, where I, like, years later, okay, I saw Iron Maiden there. I saw Duran Duran.
Depeche
Mode
Muse.
so many times.
I saw Justin Bieber there. Not Justin Timberlake, sorry.
Yeah, I saw Justin Timberlake there too. Yeah, I was there. I saw J-Lo. I went to see Jennifer Lopez. But I have to say, I have big respect for her as an entertainer, as a performer. She's no joke. I saw Madonna there twice. And I played there.
Yeah, that's
before
cool.
Madonna, before J-Lo, before Justin Timberlake.
Oh, that's really cool. But what was the biggest? So you say so
the biggest audience that I played with Monkey Business was probably 100,000 people. We were in Argentina. This is funny, because when we came back, we were in Argentina that was 2008 was the Nokia tour. So at the end of 2007, December 2007, we were in Buenos Aires with Monkey Business for this festival. Oh God, I forgot what it's called, but it's a really huge music festival, one of the hugest in Argentina, in South America, and it's done. The production is in working with it. There's a band there called Soda Stereo or Stereo Soda. I don't know. It's like the biggest band in South America, like the South American Beatles, everyone was saying when we were there. And this Zeta Bosia met Monkey Business. He saw Monkey Business somewhere when he was traveling through Europe, found us, and invited us to come to this festival.
100,000 people.
Yeah, there were 100,000 people there, but with Liquid Harmony, I'd already played some festivals in Europe, mainly in the Netherlands, where there were like 150,000, like on these Bevrijding festivals, these kind of things, like on the 5th of May and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Where it's so, but I mean, in Argentina, we played like before we played
Chris Cornell.
Chris Cornell, yeah. We were like in that evening, on that night of the festival, the last three bands were us, Happy Mondays, Chris Cornell.
Okay, so you're officially now the big shot on my show.
No way.
Yeah. I'm gonna next time I see you in the bank, I'm gonna run over to you and
jump on me.
But it's interesting that you tend to leave.
Yeah, because when I'm not learning something, it's not interesting for me.
Yeah.
So I always, that's why it was so exciting for me with Liquid Harmony, because I was learning a new music that I'd never heard before. It was exciting for me with Monkey Business because even though I knew the music, I'd never sung I've never done this kind of thing before. And the thing,
Monkey Business is more like funk.
They started out as funk, but it's pop now. It's because it's constantly evolving, right?
Yeah.
And what is pop music other than popular music? And it's quite popular. But the leaving Monkey Business was because I was doing my solo. So again, learning new things, and every time I like learning, I enjoy learning. Every time I meet someone from a new place, I always learn please and thank you. Those are the first ones that I learn in every language, because those are the most important words, I think, in the world. You know, those two words you can get by anywhere. People will help you.
We don't have please in Icelandic, actually.
I know. And do you guys say tak?
Rarely. Yeah, we say tak, but we rarely.
For thank you.
Yeah, we rarely.
So you don't have so you don't have please in Icelandic.
No.
I know. I already asked one friend about that.
Yeah.
And then so in Icelandic, huna.
Hun, that's a female.
It says female, but what do you call the little one?
A small female. I don't
No,
know.
but like, okay, so like, if you were Norwegian, I would call you Lil Kyckling.
Chicken. Yeah, kjúklingur. Yeah,
Quickling. Okay, so
Kjúkling.
now I learned I got my Icelandic word for today.
yeah. But I don't know. Did we cover the rock star moment there?
The rock star moment. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, there must have been something. I mean, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and hotels, and
Okay, so I know.
I mean,
I know that I say that my spirit animal is Keith Richards because I want to last as long as he did, but hopefully like not having to do everything that he's done. I mean, yeah, okay, yes, rock and roll. I've tried my recreational drugs, but not to the extent of Keith Richards, thank God.
but is that like a
But
inevitable part of this?
I
Or-
don't think so. I
No?
think it depends on who you're with, because okay, I come from a hippie village, so yeah, I got
Smoking
my
joints
smoking
and-
joints. That's something that's there. Magic mushrooms, yeah. But these are not things that I ever really found in the music scene for some reason. I don't know if it's because I was with bluesmen or
more
what.
professionalism, or
But for me, like pot, smoking a spliff, a joint or something, that's like, that's like sex, drugs, rock and roll, right?
yeah.
No, it's not. I found out it's not. But
Especially not in this country where
not in this
everybody-
country. But I have to say that as far as recreational drugs, it's never been for me involved in music.
No.
And I don't know how, because I mean, maybe around it's you would think that I would find that more in this branch of the work, or even with acting. I mean, but no, I think, I'm trying to think, the first time that I was ever offered. Actually, though, I was for instance, I've been offered cocaine a lot of times, and many years I said no. And the first time I ever tried it, I was 42 years old. And the reason I never tried it, because it had to go in your nose, and I just did not like how it smelled. Why would I put that in my nose?
But how this? Yeah, I mean, like, so the music business here. I mean, is it like when you during those, let's say, those 16 years with Monkey Business,
Yeah.
and now in your solo career that you've had since then, what, like 2015 or
I left Monkey Business at the end of 2016. So
Yeah.
from 2017 on,
you're on your own?
I'm on my own. But I was doing some solo stuff already. 2010, 2009,
Yeah.
I'd already started working. I did my first solo album came out in 2011.
Uh-huh.
And then the second one was 2013.
Yeah, and during those years, both the Monkey Business years and well, basically this whole career, it's a decent living, right? I mean, how is the money in this business
Well,
here?
the thing is, okay, so you can make a living in music here. It's not incredibly easy for everyone as it is for others. Not everyone gets to be Carol Gott. But or even, I mean, okay, for instance, Monkey Business. I was in a band with 6 guys. Now that's on you, Teresa, and I find it also quite interesting. There are a few guys in the band who are like really solid and like okay, and like you can say, yeah, they have no money worries. And then there are others who like make ends meet. And then there are those who, yes, they live from Monkey Business, but here's the thing, and this actually was a problem for me in Monkey Business, only towards the end, non-stop. I mean, almost every weekend for the entire year, almost every weekend you work. Sometimes you are on tour for 3-4 days, so more than just the weekends. And from January, February, you don't work so much, but then in March you start working again, and then it's like that for the rest of the year. And once I had kids, it wasn't fun for me anymore because my kids are now 15 and 12. Puberty and it ain't fun. But we'll get to that later. But you can make a living. But the thing is, when you see people, you have to be in one of these more well-known popular bands. People like Helena von Drachkova will always make money. People like in these smaller bands, maybe it's harder. Like when you have jazz musicians, blues musicians, they play in these clubs. They're playing every night, sometimes 2 or 3 gigs
It's a
a
hustle.
night, and it's a hustle to make. And you can make ends meet, but that's all it will be. If you're a bigger name in the business, you can also make ends meet, but you have to be like super mega giga smart in the system here, in order to be on a level of someone like. You also have to be smart economically, and I don't really have such a head for numbers and math and stuff like that. I pretty much lucked out in this past year with my new boyfriend because he's smart about that.
Okay.
And he's trying to help me overcome the problems of not only being born poor, but being a huge megastar and still being poor.
But how I mean, if you look at, I don't know how much you know. I mean, obviously you probably know a lot. I mean, this is kind of stupid, but if you compare like what you see in the music industry here versus like the U.S., do you see are there some specifics here that are different from anywhere else?
Well, having only lived here and in the States, I'm not really sure how it works in other places, but I can compare the two in that. Okay, for me to have risen to the level of stardom that I have here, I think it was much easier for me at the beginning because I am black and I am foreign. And I'm not just foreign, I'm American. And that holds a lot of weight in the jazz and blues community because that's my music. That's music of black Americans. So that's our music, or as they say, and probably reason why. I mean, like I said, the first meeting, the guy looked at me, I'm too small to play basketball, I'm black, I'm from New York. Do you sing?
Perfect fit, yeah.
And luckily, yes, I sing, but luckily I actually do have a good voice. So because I know people that that don't have such great voices, but do get to sing just because of where they're from.
Somebody should give them basketball.
But one thing is, the thing about it is like it's a lot easier for me here than it would be in America, because in America there's at least another 10 million of me. I mean, not me and not the real deal me, but you know, like it's on the same level.
Yeah.
You know, there's probably another 10 million of me in my state alone. But there, I never had any ambitions of being
didn't even
a singer.
try. I mean,
I didn't even try,
No.
and I didn't even try here. I was really happy and satisfied with being able to have singing as a hobby because I was doing work that I really loved. But it's the circumstances. I couldn't do that work here. So, but it would be harder for me to be to the level of where I am here.
Yeah.
It would be harder to achieve that there than in the Czech Republic.
I've always felt here that with this city, I mean, that it's kind of, it's actually a city of opportunity in a way that if you do something and you do it well and you have your style or something about you, some sort of edge or something different, you can actually make it here.
Yes,
and I it's a really, really interesting thing that it's maybe not as competitive as somewhere else, and there is still so many things that haven't really been done here, and that brings me
right
to the quality of the music and the musicians here. Like,
yeah,
I think I told you once that when I listen to rock music here or metal music, I get the feeling that they took 100,000 male Czechs into a room and they played Lemmy Kilmister in Motorhead for 3 hours, and this was in 1982, and since then they've all been trying to sing that, you know. You get my drift.
I get your drift. Yeah, and this that is very rampant in here, I think. I feel like as many amazing musicians are here, a lot of times you get the Czech version of something from somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's like instead of and you know what, it's okay to have the Czech version of something, but my problem as a native English speaker is I don't want to hear a Czech band that is trying to be, I don't know, Blink 180, whatever that is. I don't know the exact numbers.
82.
Blink 182, singing in English. Or what's the other one that's kind of like heavy metal hip hop? You know, they got the
Limp Bizkit.
Yo, I don't want to hear the Czech version of Limp Bizkit.
Nobody wants to hear even the original version.
Yeah,
of Limp Bizkit
actually, I'm not a
anymore.
fan of Limp Bizkit. I mean, nomen omen. I mean, come on, you named yourself Limp Bizkit. You had to know you were gonna suck, or whatever. Anyway, but that's enough. That's just my opinion. But yeah, you know, no, I don't want to hear the Czech version of it. I want to hear a Czech band. You know, this is why I like bands like. This is why I like David Koller. This is why I like songs from Lucia. This is why I like Jar. Jar. I like these bands because they're not trying to be the Czech version of something else.
But in those time, so it's what, 25 years you've been
I'm here
right?
25 years. It's going to be 26 years in May. Yeah.
I guess over this time, the let's say, okay, so if you try to single out, what has changed? What's different now if you look at the younger musicians now versus what was here when you came here? Because when you come here,
yeah.
we're like 6 years out of communism.
Right. So they were 6 years out of communism. They were 3 years out of the split with Slovakia. And the thing is, they had, I mean, I guess there was a lot of this underground music. And this was music that was inspired by bands outside of, but again, it was in Czech. And I don't think they were trying to sound like those bands. I think they were inspired by them. So you could hear a bit of like their sound be like influencing it, but it didn't sound like a Czech version of that. I like the band Olympic. That's a Czech band. They're an old band. They're like the equivalent of probably of Czech Rolling Stones because they've been around that long. But they don't sound like the Rolling Stones. They sound like Olympic, and I like that band. I don't want to. It's like this is a sad thing for me. I'm so hoping for some new Czech music. Yeah, I'm not someone who's jealous that there's a newer, younger version out there. No, I'm looking for something new, good to listen to. I want to support a good band. There's one young, I guess they call them. What do they call them when you just have a guitar?
Troubadour.
I guess, yeah, troubadour. Yeah, I don't know. They call them písničkaři in Czech. You know, she's called Zoe Hader. This girl is for me an inspiration. I think she's 18 now. She at one time she asked me to come and do the whole Godmother thing, like on an album. But I found out about her because I was doing a TV show a couple years ago here. I was doing it's called Drive, and it's a show where they have lifestyle, music, and sport. And I was a music person, so I had to find new people to interview that were interesting for me. And I found this girl when she was 13 years old. She was on Václavské náměstí busking, and the money she made busking, she used to make her first album when she was 14. Okay, so this kid's got some oomph in her.
Yeah.
She's got chutzpah. She's got moxie. She's like, wow. She's called Zoe Hader. And she's just like, but I like what she plays because she's not trying to be a Czech version of something else. She's playing what she feels. And there are some, I think that what started to happen since the time that I've come here, now it's opened up, right? So now now you've got more people trying to be the Czech version of what's already out there instead of looking inward and seeing what they really have and making something good with it. These things work if you want to do the Czech version that's going to stay right here and nobody else is going to listen to it. But
if you want to go global, you have to.
I think the idea that singing in English makes people like you globally that's not always true. It's not necessarily a good thing. And this is why I like Czech hip-hop. I mean, I don't always understand everything they're saying, but if the music is good and they've got a good flow, then that's great, because they're not trying to be somebody else. Except for the one thing that a lot of Czech hip-hop gets is this the vulgarity, the profanity. And that's my problem. That's, again, okay, the Czech version of, they think, let's just be vulgar and say a bunch of profanity, and this is hip-hop.
Yeah.
Put profanity to great beats, and and a lot of people buy into that. But again, there is and this guy might be interesting for you because he speaks English. He is called Prago Union. Kato. He was from one of the very first Czech music award winning hip hop rap group in the Czech Republic. They were called Chaos. And he today still goes on. One of the three guys who were there, he's still around, Kato, and he has this thing called Prago Union, where he raps in Czech, but he doesn't use profane language, and his lyrics are incredibly funny and interesting and ironic, and like they're worth the listen. And this, sadly, you don't get a lot of here. And now all of these like contest shows, I can't stand those.
But you talking about contest shows, you were on Star Dance. You were competing as a dancer here.
Yeah, because I wanted to learn those dances.
And how did you do?
Oh, really poorly. I loved it.
Did they vote you off?
Oh, yeah. I got voted. I was second voted off. But then again, this is a popularity contest. When I talk about these contest shows, I mean like The Voice or
You've been
Idol.
on The Voice as well. As a
I was a guest. They wanted me to come in and I was a guest judge or something like that. But I wouldn't go, and I don't recommend to people to go to Superstar, these things like Star Search and the Pop Idol and things like that. I don't recommend it because, again, it's a show where they take people and they put them. They're making a model. It's kind of like when they did the Monkees, which I don't know if you know that there was a band in the States, and they were called like the Beatles were the Fab Four, and the Monkees were the pre-Fab Four, because they made them, they put them together to be to become a band, and basically that's what these shows are doing. And how do you? It
takes away the creativity.
It takes away the creativity. It takes away the originality, and now we've got, again, another state-sanctioned pop star. Hooray! No, I don't like that stuff. I would rather listen to somebody who sounds bad but tries and gets better along the way, because you hear it in their music. You hear you hear the growth. You hear the experience. You hear the realness. You know, if I can't deal with it. But Stardance, that was funny and fun. It hadn't been on for a while, and then like they did it was the 10th year that they'd done it. They got rid of all the dancers that they had before, so everything was a fresh start. So it was kind of like the beginning again for Stardance. And they called me, and I didn't want to go because years ago I really wanted to go on there, and they decided not to pick me. They decided no. They even chose Matej Rupert to be on the show before me, even though there had been talk about, we're going to take you on the show. They decided, no, let's get Matej Rupert instead, who is the singer from Monkey Business. Of course, it's going to get more viewers for them. The show is a popularity contest, and you're judged by, you get to stay depending on how many people who are watching vote for you. So we talked about earlier, like people like, oh yeah, everybody knows who you are. Evidently, everybody didn't. And also people...
What year is this?
This was last year. This was 1 year ago.
So you're not as famous as I thought you were?
I might be famous, but I'm not as popular. There were people on who were more popular, and people really knew who they were. So if you've got to think about who's watching the show. So these are people who are sitting at home and they watch TV all the time. And then my fellow contestants were people who were on TV shows. So they know who that is. Grandma in the village doesn't really know who I am. But that didn't matter. I was so excited that I was going to learn these dances. Because for me, it's about what am I going to learn? So I was all ready for that. Except someone evidently thought it would be funny to pair me with my dance partner was 30 years younger than me and 30 centimeters taller than me.
What a match.
Yeah. I mean, I don't care about the age difference. If I judge people on who they are, not the number on their birth certificate. And I didn't realize you need to have your... oh, yeah, Shishmani. I forget a lot of English words because I've been here so long. Panev. You know, if you have your skeleton and then there's that part.
The waist or
No, not
hips? Or
yeah, it's kind of around there, but it has a name. And you don't want to break it. It's that bone. Like women have it, and then it opens up when we have babies. Pelvis.
Pelvis.
I knew it. I get it back.
Okay.
So your pelvises have to be sort of at a matching height.
So that you can't...
So that you dance together. Okay, so you're dancing a dance like tango. we managed to get that one in before we got voted off. The man is kind of crouched down. But you have to realize when your partner is crouched down so much so that your pelvises are next to one another. The guy was almost on his knees on the floor, and I was on my tippy toes. And we still, so we didn't really have a chance. The thing was, people didn't like. They said I was stiff as a board, and she's black. She should have it in her blood. Why isn't she a better dancer? These were really the comments that I was getting, and I was just laughing my ass off. I was like, man, the things I have forgotten more things than these people actually have ever learned.
But how is this a paid gig, or I mean?
Yeah. It was paid. Okay, fine. So for me, that was fun. It was a job where I was learning something and I was getting paid. So for me, that made sense. But the problem was I had a completely inadequate. We were not suited, and there was someone else there who was better suited to dance with me. And his partner didn't like him. And the thing is, if I had danced with him like any other time, because we became very close, all of the people, it was almost a shame that it was a contest because we really, really liked each other to the point that even the people who were voted off, we came every other week to support everybody else who was there. We still have a WhatsApp chat, and it's
cute.
a year later.
Cute. Have you ever thought about writing a letter to that company that gave you the $35,000 in the States and thank them for breaking your tooth?
No. But you know what did happen? That was even funnier. That year when I broke my tooth, and then later in the year, after the tooth was fixed, that place, there's this bar, it's a bar and restaurant, and they have a big Halloween costume every year. This was 1994. And... No, 1993. I was 22 when I lost a tooth. So 1993, Halloween costume. Year later, they've lost their money to me. I go in the Halloween costume because I want to win, because I know I've got a good costume. I'm a toothbrush. And but it had nothing to do with that. It was just that I was like, that would be really cool. I think I want to be a toothbrush for Halloween. And so I get like... my boyfriend at the time was a sculptor, and he like sewed everything. He made me the costume and like a giant piece of styrofoam, and I took some pieces from old blinds on the window, cut them and put them in there and then like here a big hole around my head so my head could stick out because I had a gig that night. So I had to sing. And of course we all wanted to wear Halloween costumes in the band, so I came as this giant toothbrush. And I wanted to go to that contest. So I was like, but I haven't been there since I've sued them. And, I don't know. I just went in there with that. They saw that. They're just like, here's the money.
You won the prize.
I won the prize. So I won $35,000 from them, plus another $250, for the
being a
Halloween
toothbrush.
for being a toothbrush.
But how
But
is
maybe I should thank them.
it? Yeah, because
Oh.
it's actually a turning point in your
It
life.
is.
You know?
It is. Because if that hadn't happened, I don't know. I mean, maybe I would have gotten to Europe, but maybe not like that.
Yeah.
Um,
You wouldn't have been into a band. It might have been a different time.
exactly. If I hadn't been in that car accident, the third car accident,
The train.
the one where we hit the train head on, I wouldn't have, I still hadn't met the man who was the owner of that club I sang in on the first night in Prague. So that's also another weird connection. He's just everywhere, that guy.
But so how is it now? I mean, like obviously with the COVID and the restrictions, and
Yeah.
as you said earlier, that your job has basically been made illegal.
Yeah.
But apart from that, if it wasn't for that, and you said it was too much of a job being in a band, touring and playing as much.
Yeah,
so how is
playing
it
that
now?
much.
So
Well, now I don't play
ideal
as
month.
much. But the thing is, I do still have concerts. Well, not now actually, but in the new year, that's my plan. And back to having concerts and doing stuff, which I really look forward to. Because I'm starting, and this is crazy. We just started preparing this new project with one DJ, DJ Bidlow, who I met back in 95, 96 when I sang with Liquid Harmony, because he was a DJ who would play with us in the band. And we've known each other for so long, and he even left here a while, went to the States he had married an American. After they divorced, he came back. And then after so many years, we met up, and it was like we hadn't seen each other. We'd seen each other the other day, just the day before. And so we started preparing and getting stuff ready to do this DJ set, which is a lot easier for me than having to move around with a whole band. And then boom, nope, singing is illegal. Concerts are banned for now. But now it's possible to have these cultural events, but without audiences. So people are getting into the streaming. I'm not crazy about streaming because I don't just do a concert. I do a shared experience, and I need that audience there because they're part of it. This is just as much for that. They're just as much part of it as I am. If they just want to hear me sing, put on an album, stay home, listen to a record, put on the radio. So I don't know. I did do one concert where there was streaming here in Prague. There's a festival called Mladý Lady Jazz, which is a great festival.
But is it like it's still that's the only thing you do? I mean, you still live from music.
Well, right now I'm living.
I mean, apart from right now, but I mean,
apart from right now, that's what I do. I
Yeah.
live from music, or I do what they call moderating here, which is like an MC hosting when there are events. This I really love.
because you can talk.
Yeah,
I
as
noticed
I know
that.
you have not said. You've said like 5 words on this whole podcast. I'm sorry, people, but I'm really chitty chatty. Thank God I'm a singer, because people pay to listen to me talk only in a melody.
but you're still able, even you left the more pressured environment of being in a band.
I
you
still do. This
can-
is what I do.
Yeah.
I'm still first and foremost, I'm a singer. But because I like to talk, I did do, as I said, I did that show a couple of years ago. It's called Drive. It's still going, actually. But I left a year ago so I could do Star Dance, only to be voted off immediately in the the third. I did 3 episodes. And finally, the 3rd episode, when I was good, that's when I got voted off. But actually, it was okay. Less work, still paid. I like doing things where I talk, evidently.
Yeah. Can see that.
But I mainly live from singing. Right now, I'm working on a book.
What's that about?
The book is about my life and work here. It's more of a photo book, and it came from the idea when I was making some new publicity photos earlier this year, before I realized I wouldn't be working, and making new photos, and had this, and I sat down with my manager, and I was like, yeah, yesterday was my anniversary. I'm here 25 years. What? Okay, that's the theme. of our new. So she sat me down with people. She sat me down and we got together and we made a list of people that are friends or that I've worked with or had some sort of influence or whatever in my life in here. I couldn't get everybody, but the people that did, they showed up and we did this thing 2550, you know.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
I wanted to make a book from it, which I am doing right now, and it's mainly a picture book, but it's going to be a lot about it's going to be that shared experience again. Part of the book is I asked people, hey, do you have any photos or like some crazy story, some memory? Please, if you're interested, I would love to have it as part of my book because I remember something one way, but somebody else is going to remember it a different way. And already, and just stuff that I've gotten back. There's an actor, singer here. His name is Ondřej Brzobohatý. And Ondra is a friend for many years. He's like a brother. And his memory of our first meeting is completely different than mine. He remembers me from seeing me first on the stage, and I must have like smiled or said something to him from the stage. I remember something completely different. I have no recollection of that meeting, but I do remember the first time that he was introduced to me. So it's like, so I
So
just
it's a recollection of this. That's a cool concept.
and the idea that other people are gonna have their say.
Yeah.
You know, and as I'm doing the book and I'm going through these memories of people, it's really fun.
Yeah.
I'm having a laugh, or sometimes I'm crying because it's so touching. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe people really think these nice things about me. I mean, I don't know what people think about me. I try not to think about it. What I think about myself is hard enough.
But so you're working on the book, that DJ project.
Yeah.
And anything else kind of on the horizon?
Well, the first thing is I got to get the book done. At first I thought I was going to call it 2550, but then I decided that I'm going to call it Aurora. And Aurora is an abbreviation of Rozdavač radosti. I am a spreader of joy. This is what I like to think of myself, because it's like whatever I do, whatever work that I've done in my entire life, I've always tried to do something where I try to help people. Try to and if I see somebody who's feeling bad about themselves or about a situation or sad in any way, I always run there and try to cheer them up. It's just what I do. And I think I do it probably so I don't focus on what's not okay with myself. But that moment when I can make somebody else smile, I feel so good. And that's it. That one little smile, that one smile can just like make me feel like, I don't know, Maradona or Pablo Escobar. And by the way, Godspeed, Maradona. I heard you left today.
Yeah,
so Godspeed on your way.
But I wanted to talk to you about much more stuff. I mean, I had like.
So then you can invite me back.
Yeah, I think because you
because I can talk. Huh?
Yeah, there's like I see like 2 hours on the clock here now, and it's funny because there was a headline on the news the other day, like Kanye West came to Joe Rogan's podcast and spoke for 3 hours, and I'm like, fuck, if I go into what I want to talk to with Tonya, then it will be like, Tonya Graves came on Almar's podcast and she spoke for 4 hours. So I think I will have to have you again, because there's plenty of other stuff that I would like to talk to you about.
Yes, and I would love to come back again anytime.
Yeah, and I would like to talk to you about the U.S. and the situation, and a little bit about all this stuff that is going on there, and how you perceive it from here. But that's for later. So for you guys that are still listening,
yes, for all of my kuklingar,
my chickens.
My kuklingar.
Yeah. I don't have only Icelandic listeners. Actually, I have a global. I even have a listener in the Philippines. I'm very proud of that.
Okay.
But those of you that have listened, it's been great to have you. Check out Tonya Graves. You can go to YouTube and you can see a lot of her music, and it's really, really cool stuff. Very diverse, a lot of different styles, and kind of interesting how you have you're never the same. It's never the same.
Yeah.
It's maybe where can people see more of you? You have Instagram?
Well, I have Instagram and Facebook. If you look on Facebook, there's the Tonya Graves official page where I like to post things from concerts or just general stuff. And on Instagram, you can find me as Bohemia Songbird or Bohemia that like underdash Songbird.
Yeah.
And there I like to put stuff as well, and you can find out what's going on with me day to day.
Yeah, and I think that
I think I'll have to come back after Christmas.
Yeah.
And you'll have to teach me a new Icelandic word.
Yeah, that's no problem. There's plenty of those. But yeah, so guys, thanks really for listening. You can follow the show. I have a Facebook page called The Bunker. How the hell did we end up here? You can listen to this. Obviously, you are listening now, but you can listen to this on Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, and Podbean. And please follow the show so that you never miss an episode. If you know any cool people that you think I should talk to and live in Prague, because I'd like to do this in person, let me know. I don't care what they do. I'm sure I can dig out something interesting about them. My Instagram is Midlife Crisis Warrior, and I think I have a Instagram page. Yeah, the Instagram page of the show is The Bunker Prague. Then I have Twitter, Midlife Crisis Warrior. And yeah, I think that's thanks to the sponsors. They're amazing. They don't pay me anything, but I get a free cup of coffee and stuff like that. It's just the first time I record without my dog being here, so there shouldn't be any heavy breathing.
I don't know, maybe mine.
Yeah, who knows? But yeah, this has been a tale of the tooth. I mean,
yes, the tale of the tooth.
Yeah, but it's interesting, Tonya, that you go from a poor family on countryside New York to being a superstar in Prague. I mean, it's a really, really interesting story, and thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. I'm very happy to be here.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.